In this case study, we are going to talk about the aviation revenue management problem and mathematical ways to solve it. The winners in tomorrow's business landscape won't necessarily be those with the most advanced tools. Rather, they will be the ones who are sensitive enough and have trained their minds to see their work as a mathematical problem that can be solved systematically. In this series of case studies, we will talk about mathematical modeling in business. Let's get deeper into the airline revenue management. There are customers who need to fly, and there is an airline offering to fly them. One might ask, what's mathematical about this? Imagine this scenario. You run an airline with the flights between Chicago, Denver, and San Francisco. You offer direct flights between each city, plus connecting options. Now, airlines face a daily challenge: how to best manage limited seats capacity on their flights while maximizing revenue. The key lies in offering the right seats at the right price to the right customers and knowing when to say no to low fare booking in hope of selling those seats at a higher price later. This is the essence of airline revenue management. Airlines don't just sell one type of ticket, they offer multiple fare classes for the same route, ranging from economy saver fares to flexible business class tickets. Each fare class has a different price and conditions, and customers' demand for these fares fluctuates over time. Let's talk an example. We assume that a direct flight from Chicago to Denver has a fare of $200. Denver to San Francisco fare is $250, and a connecting flight from Chicago to San Francisco through Denver has fare of $500. For sake of simplicity, we assume a single fare class for each kind of flight itinerary here. In real world, many customers book trips that involve multiple connecting flights, and a seat on one leg of a journey may be shared across many different itineraries. Like in this case, the leg to Chicago to Denver is a part of the itinerary of the customer that goes from Chicago to Denver, and also part of the long-haul connecting flight itinerary for Chicago to San Francisco. What does it mean from the fare class standpoint? Even though the fare class based on standards of seats are not available, but price can be computed for each leg for which all itinerary it is part of. This is something that governs the various fare classes of a given leg. The approach here is to compute exactly an internal associated price for each leg. Now, this price is an internal computational number that can be imagined as a scale of a revenue contribution if we were to sell additional seats in a given leg. This is calculated based on the dual of the primal LP that we will explain in a little while. In an example, Chicago to Denver is a part of the direct flight customer itinerary, and its price is super straightforward, that is $200. But it is also part of the long haul connecting itinerary, which overall has a fare of $500. But we don't know how much each leg price is for this itinerary. Let's assume that in this case the price of leg Chicago to Denver, which is part of the itinerary Chicago to San Francisco, is $250. This means we got two fare classes for the leg Chicago to Denver. First, the price that is part of the first itinerary, Chicago to Denver, which is $200, and second, the price of the same Chicago to Denver leg that is part of the third itinerary, Chicago to San Francisco, which is $250. Clearly, in this case, the leg Chicago to Denver is more profitable if it is booked for the third itinerary. In order to get a notion of which leg is more profitable for which part of the itinerary is computed by heuristics named DAVN, Displacement Average Virtual Nesting. But there is the challenge. Customers don't all book at once. Some book early, some book late. If you sell too many seats on the Chicago-Denver leg to direct passengers, you might not have enough seats left for the potentially more profitable connecting passengers from Chicago to San Francisco. But if you hold too many seats for connecting passengers traveling to San Francisco from Denver, who would never materialize, you would have lost the revenue. The trick here is that we use DAVN to compute the price for leg itinerary combination that we call as a bidding price based on the entire network itineraries. This is kind of a representation of the profitability of a given leg based on which itinerary it is part of. and then based on that protect a certain number of seats to be sold potentially for higher price margin itineraries. But the catch is that we cannot protect a very high number of seats, so much so that it doesn't materialize at all and we lose in revenue with an opportunity lost to sell it is as a part of a lower margin itineraries. The right balance is achieved with another heuristics named as a EMSRb heuristics. The approach is such a generic approach that even if we add in this simple example the notion of having fare class based on the standards of seats like economy or business, it will still work and be able to come up with number of seats we need to protect in leg to be sold for higher classes. It is agnostic of the fare classes created based on standards of the seats or itineraries. After all, each such combination of itinerary and seat classes can be treated as a unique legs and its corresponding bidding prices. Traditionally, businesses might rely on a gut feeling or a simple rules, but operations research transforms this into a mathematical problem that can be solved systematically. The goal is clear: to maximize total revenue, but the constraints are complex. Limited seats per leg, uncertain demand, and network effect where decisions on one flight impact others. We need to allow a high profit flight legs seat combination to be booked by the customers who are willing to pay. The balance we need to strike is a blocking just enough seats on a given leg for high margin flight itinerary, but not so many that they remain unsold if customers don't show up at all. If that happens, we have lost the opportunity to sell those seats as a part of the cheaper flight itineraries. In the face of multiple flight itineraries, there has to be an optimal mix of seat allocation that generates the highest revenues. During the booking processes, we need to accept customers who arrive for low margin flight itinerary, but at the same time reserve a certain number of seats on each leg for higher fare itineraries. Now, when we think about this problem, many of us imagine complex equation and algorithm that only mathematician can understand, which I'm not undermining either, but that's not the essence of it. The real power lies in our ability to recognize that everyday business challenges can be framed as a mathematical problem. In our airline example, once we recognize the problem, the way as it is explained, only then one will be motivated to use diverse range of solutions available in the market, reach out to the experts to help solve. For example, in this case study, we solve the problem in two steps. In the first step, we identify using mathematical optimization that what is the perfect allocation of the expected demand to the available flight seats combination that gives highest possible revenue. It assumes expected demand for booking the tickets are known for each kind of itinerary. In other words, it assumes that all the expected booking request information is available simultaneously with complete information. This optimization solution provides an upper bound for the revenue. It gives a perfect knowledge of what ideal maximum revenue would look like. This is computed using LP optimization mathematical formulation we spoke about earlier. And then in the second step, it identifies and recognizes the fact that in real world, we don't know what exact order in which booking request will arrive. But at least what we can do is to accept or reject decisions sequentially as requests for booking comes in. If we were intelligently protecting a certain level of the seats not to be sold for low margin, which in this case is done by DAVN that exploits the dual solve and wait for the high margin booking to arrive, which is estimated based on the EMSRb heuristics, then we will be able to increase the revenue. Let's move to the demonstration of this case study with a toy example. As shown in this toy example, P1, P2, P3 represents the travel itinerary including its fare and demand. In the tab network, each of this product itinerary is composed of legs. For example, P7 is composed of legs 2 and then it goes to leg 3. This toy example also considers likelihood of the cancellation. Therefore, it applies average cancellation probability across all fare classes, meaning it accounts for expected cancellations as well. And if we click the run button, We get to see the results of the flight plan and booking limits assigned to each leg itinerary. The revenue information, $258,269, shows the maximum upper bound on profit for the model described here. There are various other diagrams that helps us visualize other aspects of the solve. In the end, this overall process allows us to set intelligent booking limits that protect just enough seats for high value itinerary while still selling seats that would otherwise go empty. This is almost like we first determine our goal, what is the max revenue possible, and then secondly, we create balance and checks in the booking system such that it nudges us towards that direction. We may not be able to achieve the max revenue, but we in the process are able to maximize it. I will leave the detailed descriptions and rationale of the LP, Duality, DAVN and EMSRb for later on videos where we will try to deep dive in the rationale. But for now, let's underscore on the idea that this example shows how one can connect the business problem to mathematical optimization, way of thinking, and seek help from experts to solve it. At Optimization for All, we are helping to sensitize people about mathematical optimization and its potential to transform business operations. We believe that all it takes is a spontaneity to connect your work problems to mathematical modeling. Many people don't see the connection between mathematics and their work, even when it's right in front of them. We are here to change this perception and help businesses unlock the power of a mathematical thinking. Remember, the most powerful tool isn't the algorithm, it's a mind that can see the algorithm in the everyday. By developing this mathematical intuition, you are not just optimizing your business, you are revolutionizing how you approach problems altogether. We need spontaneity to connect your work problem to mathematical modeling. That's all it requires. Join us in changing how businesses approach problem solving through the power of a mathematical modeling with operations research. This case study wouldn't have been possible without the help of the following people's contribution.